Welcome to the Christ Project Podcast. I'm Kentu Martin Coward, your host, and I'm so glad you're here. This podcast is about awakening to love, peace, and abundance, and discovering the divine energy within each of us. Each week, we share insights to help you connect with your purpose, shift fear into love, and manifest a more meaningful life. Whether you're just starting or already on your spiritual path, there's something here for you. Let's explore how to live from a place of love and abundance together. This is the Christ Project Podcast. Let's get started. Good morning, and welcome to today's episode of the Christ Project Podcast with Kentu. I'm your host, Kentu, and I'm so happy you joined us today. The motivation behind this particular episode is to help all of us find a positive way, something useful that we can do with the enormous amount of fear and darkness and pain that so many of us find ourselves in today. And I want to assure you of something. Millions of people all over the world, including me, have spent our lives in a spiritual practice preparing for moments just like this. And from a cosmic perspective, from a Christ consciousness perspective, nothing has changed as a result of the election. Nothing happens in the real world, in the material world, that's not real. Let me see if I can see that better. Everything that happens in the material world, every thought, every expression, every judgment, everything that is created, understanding everything in the universe can be understood as energy, frequency, and vibration. And when we're in fear, and when we look at what the people who are coming into power are saying they're going to do from their playbook called Project 2025, we feel fear. I feel fear. What if they did that? Well, what if they did? I think that would be very pleasant. I think that would be pretty horrible. But we're ready. And there are many, many, many millions of spiritually awake human beings on this planet who are prepared for moments like this. And there will be others, and there have been some before. But we are prepared to move ourselves and you and others through this very dark time. And the invitation is to join us. And what I want to talk about today are some very specific things that you can begin to do to let go of your worry and your anxiety and understand that fear is a part of the manifestation of creation. Fear is the fuel that gets us motivated. Fear can either paralyze us into retreat, or it can motivate us into going forward. In order for it to motivate us, we have to feel it. We have to feel the fear, which is something most of us do not want to do. It's not comfortable to feel. Fear is uncomfortable. And for days after the election, I was in so much fear, my mind projecting all these horrible things happening that are outlined in this Project 2020, that I just had to go inside myself. And personally, and I recommend this for anybody, I have not watched the news since that evening. I haven't even turned it on. I'm not ready for all that noise right now. I need to protect myself, my inner kingdom, if you will.
I need to stay at a high range of consciousness and not let myself get pulled into the drama that's happening in the earth right now. I want to know about it. I want to see it. I want to observe it. I want to hold it in loving presence. Because that's what I believe needs to happen. We need to sort of sit in this uncomfortable space of pain and darkness from a place of love and presence and compassion for everyone involved, because there is no other. We are all one. There are some who are just simply lost. Within every human being is a spark of fire, a spark of life. And for some, that is so hidden. There's nothing but an ember left of even that, and they don't even know it's there. So our job is to learn to love the unloved. Not just the unloved of the other, because if you start saying, "Oh, I'm going to learn to love the unlovable," you're right back in the same problem of a world of goodies and baddies, people who are worthy of love and people who are not worthy of love. Everybody's worthy of love. Yes, even Donald Trump is worthy of love, because somewhere there's a part of him that just wants to be loved. Inside every single human being, there is a little boy and a little girl who just want to be loved. And if they don't get that love, sometimes they act out. And we all know that. We've all got children. We've all done it ourselves. When we're not getting what we want, we may act out of fear that we're not going to get what we want and do things that are damaging and hurtful to others. We've all done it. So our practice is not about pointing fingers or any of that. It's about really going inside ourselves to find peace. Because we are the universe. Everything that exists within our very own hearts. That's way beyond the understanding of the human brain, the binary human brain, which only thinks in good and bad, right and wrong, goodies and baddies. So the whole concept of this to the human mind, to the human brain, that lower operating system that we clearly need to navigate the planet as humans. But it is not the truth. It is just simply an interpretation of what it sees to help us navigate the planet. But sometimes the fear and the story made up behind the fear seems so loud, feels so real that we get caught up in it. And it lowers our own vibrational frequency. And we go to bed at night worrying and concerned and all this kind of stuff. I'm inviting you as an alternative. There's an alternative way to use this fear that is just exaggerated right now in the world with what's going on in Gaza, what's going on in Ukraine, what's going on in Africa, what's going on in America. Why are all these dark shadow energies all of a sudden seem to be running the world? Well, from a Christ consciousness perspective, it is part of the divine plan. Our job is to sit in the discomfort of it all, love and accept it as it is, and transmute it into a world of peace and prosperity. So, from a cosmic perspective, nothing has changed. At the beginning of this year, I discovered my purpose was to manifest a world of peace and prosperity for 2025 in the outside world. I've done a pretty good job of bringing it into my inside world until we got this big disruption about 10 days ago. But the question is, what do I do with that disruption? What do I do with that disruption? What have I done with that? How did I get to where I am today, 10 days later, at peace inside, with clarity of purpose? I think that's the big gift, is finding the clarity in all this. And the best way to find clarity is to meditate. The best way, and there are millions of people all over this planet. Fortunately, we are living in a really, really good time. This is all divinely orchestrated. AI, communication. We are living in the fifth dimension, playing 3D chess. We live in the dimension of the consciousness we are consciousness. We live in the awareness of that we're all one. We're all part of an integrated network of souls of life, all one interconnected network of love, light. And when we can see the world from that perspective, it begins to loosen up the fear, and we can just allow the fear to rise up. Part of the transformational process, is being able to, what Michael Singer calls the transmutation of fear into love, is sort of the most advanced form of spiritual practice. And I learned this spiritual practice by reading his book, Living Untethered. It's the last chapter, and I highly recommend his book, particularly in this time. And that's another good thing I want to say, is that we have been influencers today. I mean, my favorite influencer in this world of spiritual awakenedness is Oprah Winfrey. Oprah and I were born, and she is a manifestation of what we're talking about. Oprah Winfrey and I are the same age. She was born in January of 1954, and I was born in September. She was born in rural Mississippi, a poor Black girl who had a promise of probably being nothing more in that part of the world at that point in time, being someone's housekeeper. I was born to a fairly affluent white family in South Georgia. You know, my great grandfather was one of the wealthiest people in the South at the turn of the century, not this one, but the turn of the last century. And so her chances of succeeding from a material perspective didn't look so great compared to mine. But I'm going to tell you, that woman has changed the world. And just think of the Michael Singers, the people she's introduced in the world, these spiritual teachers and leaders and guides and shamans who are here now, wake us all up. And we've been doing it, and we're just ready. And I have no doubt. I mean, I'm not on a personal one-name basis with Oprah, but at a soul level, we're all on the same page. Michael Singer, Tony Robbins, all of these spiritual people who are teaching people success on trusting yourself, having confidence, there's something bigger inside of us. That's what we're practicing here. At our core, we are manifestations of the universe's unconditional love. And if we take that fear and through practice and sit in it and feel it, you're going to find that it begins to loosen up and break through. And it's just energy rising. It's energy inside of us. It's energy inside that it needs to rise up and release itself and change. Everything is changing. So my encouragement is, don't get caught up in the fear of the moment. It's just one moment. And yes, we're all feeling fear. We're feeling sad. And there are things that are happening right now. There's genocide in Africa. People are dying. I work with Africans, LGBTQ Africans every day, and they are hungry. They have no food. They're living in terror. They're in suffering. People in Ukraine, people in Gaza. There is mean, cruel suffering. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to whitewash it or throw it. It's there. It's real. It's visceral. We can feel it. But don't let those emotions pull us into the drama. Allow those emotions to be present to inform our next right action. Not to react to the fear, but to respond to the fear with love and emptiness. If you would like to know a how to, something you can specifically do, and I'm going to give you one thing not to do is to watch the news right now. Because everything, I mean, even before this happened, the news, I don't care what channel, is always dividing the world up in a binary world. There's the world of the goodies and the world of the baddies. That is not the real world. The real world is a spectrum of light vibrating at various frequencies. It's just one spectrum. So some say it's like the look of infinity. It's going around. It's constantly moving into light, into dark, into light, into dark, into light. It's just energy frequency changing. So we can learn to step back from it and observe it from a place of peace and understanding and love what we're seeing happening. Not that we, it's like Ram Dass always would say, love the dark thought. Love the darkness. Shine the light on the darkness by loving the unloved. Starting with the unloved parts of ourselves. That's the shadow. And if you're pointing a finger at somebody out there, I can promise you there's 4 pointing back at you. That's a projection. So own it. Feel the fear. Take some responsibility because you helped. If you're alive today, I'm alive. We all helped get us where we are today, but that's not necessarily bad news. It's not bad news. I'm going back again. We have, with the help of people like Oprah Winfrey, who has made billions waking up the planet by bringing on other spiritual teachers like Ram Dass, like Eckhart Tolle, like Michael Singer onto their shows, and countless others. And then multiply that. We've got millions of people right this minute transmuting the fear that's happening in the world, all this darkness, into love, so that we, humankind on planet Earth, can join among the other planets who are created to live in peace and harmony among the stars. That is the goal, to create a world, a planet of love and peace for everyone. That is the Christ Project. And the invitation to you is to join us. So this is a call out to people who know, who have had a practice and maybe gotten a little bit lost because of all this is just so big. It's so overwhelmingly bigger than anything we've ever tackled before. No, you're not alone. That's what I keep reminding myself. When I'm sitting in my 2-hour meditation with Ram Dass on the alchemy of the heart, I've got Ram Dass there. But then I remember that all the millions of other people who are sitting here doing the same exact thing, they may not call it these, we may not use the same name, the same language, but we're all being the same human being. And what we're doing is we're being still, listening, opening our hearts, letting go of all that noise and confusion to create space, to create emptiness, to transmute all that energy, all that fear into love. And you can literally feel it in your heart. When I'm in meditation, I know when I'm there because, one, I'm not judging. I'm not judging the way I'm meditating. I'm not judging anything. I'm just feeling what I'm feeling. And the deeper I feel it, the more my heart begins to actually open up. And I can literally feel the energetic shift within the privacy of my very own heart from fear to love. And then that's what motivates me to do this podcast. One thing that's become crystal clear to me since is this Christ project, this is Christ project. Someone asked me, actually, I'm a member of the Unitarian Universalist Congregation Montclair, and I've been part of an adult learning series on our faith. And we had our final evening last Thursday night, and I shared one of my blogs about how about the Christ Project, and they know him because he's going to be a guest. And he asked me, why do you use language like the Christ Project, knowing that in our congregation there are people who might be afraid or not, might be turned off by the word. I said, I'll tell you exactly why. Because in y'all's sermons, we've been talking about the Nicene Creed. And we talked about the Nicene Creed as being something that pushed out the Eastern influences of the early Christian church. So the reason I use the Christ Project is to bring them out of exile and welcome them back into the community. The Christian community or the non-Christian community. It's not matter. It is to teach people the truth. There is some among us who have a feeling, a belief, and there's evidence to show it, that during those years from the time that Christ was a little boy and a teenager, the time that he was in his 30s and he was teaching, which was only 3 years, that he had traveled with the wise men to the east, to the Orient at the time, to learn how to manifest, to learn about the kingdom of heaven, to learn about this deeper level of consciousness, and came back to teach it to others. And that's what you'll find when you go and really listen to Jesus's teachings, which got cut off, which got exiled, banned. All that Eastern thought, all that Eastern Gnostic thought, all that was banned and put into exile with the Nicene Creed. And the church became the church by creating a code of creeds called the Nicene Creed, that you had to believe certain things in order to go to heaven, in order to be able to connect with God. That is the most ridiculous bunch of nonsense. But what that's done, it's taken over the control of something spiritual and turned it into something man-made for the benefit and the power of the human being that created. And there's no lack of problems in the world. I mean, if you look at Africa, for example, the Inhumane Anti-Homosexuality Act of 2023 passed that's all part of the Anglican Church. The power in the Anglican Church in Africa and the government is so strong that they control people by believing that their children are curses and should be executed because they're gay. Now, you and I both know that is not something that Christ taught, but that is something that the church teaches. That's the problem with these dogmatic belief systems. So the reason why I keep the word Christ in there is because that's the name. Krishna, the Christ, the light. It has absolutely nothing to do with anything about some kind of dogmatic church that hates people, certain people, if you don't believe what they believe. Open your heart, quiet your mind. And it's not those people. It's we people. We are the people. We are the people. And right now there's a huge shadow lurking over our planet. And there are stars above piercing through, and there's stars in our hearts piercing through. And all those souls and all that living love in the universe and all the living love within our hearts is going to burn this fear away. And we're going to evolve into the most loving, beautiful planet in the universe, this humankind experiment. I have no idea what happened on other planets. I know we're not alone. I can feel their presence. What do we want? What do we want to manifest? I'm continuing to manifest a world in peace and prosperity in the world. The Christ Project is about waking people up to the truth of unconditional love, waking people up to the truth of what Jesus of Nazareth was teaching and bring it back into the light. It was banned, deported. Jesus was deported. Jesus the Christ was deported by the Nicene Creed, and we're bringing him back out of exile. Right now, at this moment in time, because we need him. One of the best places to learn about the teachings of Jesus, they're very simple, they're very concrete, they're very concise, is to go and read the Beatitudes from the perspective of the wisdom Jesus. And the Reverend Cynthia Bourgeot, a current day mystic, one of us who's teaching, I can promise you right now, she is manifesting a world of love and peace because that's what she does. I don't have to get on the phone and call her and tell her this. She's doing it. I don't have to get on the phone and call Oprah. I know she's doing it because that's what she does. That's what we all do. And we'd love you, if you're not, we'd love you to join us because we need everybody involved. We need everybody sitting still and being quiet and being calming down all of that disturbing noise inside ourselves. If we can find peace in our hearts, then we can make peace out there. But you can't make peace out there if you've got conflict in your heart. If you're living in a place of judgment and fear and pointing fingers at others, you're not helping. You're only making the matters worse for yourself and the world. Think about how much better you'd feel every day if you woke up and you just didn't judge people. You didn't judge yourself. You loved yourself. You loved others. That's where we're headed. I don't know what big thing is going to happen, but something is going to happen, and it's not going to be some destructive thing. It's going to be something that's going to feel good. Because that's what I want. That's how we manifest, using the law of attraction. Those laws have not changed because we elected these people who have got an agenda for some really mean, cruel things to happen. And this is not the first time. But unlike things in the past, the people in the world are smarter. We're more awake with advanced technology, and we're all in this together. And there are millions of people right this moment who are praying for a good outcome. They're praying for us to continue in the evolution of humankind, this experiment of the human being as the Christ, as God manifests, as Christ, as the Christ, as itself, is that spark of life in the world. And when you realize that, you realize you've got a lot, we all have a lot of power, much more powerful than a few human beings who are mean. We've lived under that for centuries. And what everything tells me is we're ready for a new planet. We're ready for heaven on earth. And the exciting thing about it is it's the divine feminine within ourselves, and it's the divine feminine that's manifest as women in the world. Women are leading this. If you'll notice, there are no mean, cruel women dictators in the world today that I know of. They're all very lonely, self-loathing men. Very lonely, self-loathing men who are desperate for love because they don't even know what it is. They've never experienced it. So let's give them something that they don't even know they want. Let's love the unlovable. Let's love the unlovable parts of ourselves. And I'm a little afraid to use that word, to love the unlovable. I'm not talking about people being unlovable. I'm talking about the parts of us we deem unlovable. So maybe a better way to put that is we're going to love the unloved, starting with the unloved parts of ourselves, because everyone is deserving and worthy of love. There is no human being, I don't care how you judge it, there is no human being on the planet today unworthy of love. Everyone is worthy of love. So let's do it. Let's learn to love the parts of ourselves we don't like. Then we can learn to love the parts of others we don't like. So I'm going to give you three things that I would suggest that you do if you're not doing it already. Number one, protect your inner consciousness. Protect your heart. Don't allow yourselves to get pulled into the drama with the news and social media. If you find yourself getting irritated, turn the thing off. There's nothing you can do. I'm not the government. I don't know what happened. And I don't have the know-how to fix it. Everybody's bringing their gifts. Everybody is bringing them. I'm bringing my gifts. Bring your gifts, whatever those gifts are. Because I'll tell you something. You are here not as some fluke. You are here right now on the planet alive to be an integral part of what's happening today, to be an integral part of the evolution of humankind. So what do you choose? Do you want to be part of the dark side or part of the light side? Which one do you want to be part of? The dark or the light? You get to choose. That's free will. God gave us the will to decide, do I want to be part of the dark or do I want to be part of the light? And there are times when we're going to be part of both. I've certainly been pulled into the darkness. Something called the dark night of the soul, and it's part of our spiritual journey. It's a dark, harrowing experience. And we're going through a dark night of the soul at a collective. I would maybe even suggest, I thought that we were going through a dark night of the soul through the pandemic at a collective personal level. I think the pandemic was preparing us for this. Because all of the pain we're suffering is man-made. Hear me again. All of the pain and the suffering we're having right now is man-made. And anything man-made, including the Nicene Creed, is no threat to the universe. Because it was made in the absence of love by the human ego, by the shadow. So I'm inviting all of you to slow down and incorporate in your daily practice. The first thing I suggest that you quit doing is quit watching the news. Don't allow yourself to get pulled into the drama of the world, particularly around things you can't do and projecting and predicting this happened, pointing fingers. It's just going to make it worse for you and for everybody else. So stay out of the drama. If you find yourself getting pulled into the drama, let go of the rope and you win. You're no longer in the drama. All you got to do is just let it go. Surrender it to the universe. The second thing, if you're not meditating every day, make it your practice. Start living in a state of meditation, because when I'm in a state of meditation, I'm living in connection with the divine and getting my guidance from the divine. My intuition is guiding me in the moment, moment to moment to moment. And when I find myself in a place of fear and confusion, I don't know what to do next. And I start doing things that are not going to necessarily be beneficial. Because I do know this, what we do and what's happening in the world are completely arbitrary. It's much more important for me to be aware of who I'm being in the moment, that I'm being the Christ, that I am being the loving spirit of the world, that I'm holding that space as Christ, as Jesus the Christ taught us, to sit in that tension between the material world with its jagged, hard, difficult, challenging, painful scars and wounds on one hand, and at the other hand, sit in the loving presence of the divine. And holding those and allowing those to be held with loving presence in our hearts is how we transmute that into a new world order built out of love. And that's what we're all about. So meditate. And the third thing is find some influencers, find some leaders, Ram Dass, do your reading, do your homework. Let them, I have listened to some of my favorites over and over again in the last 10 days. The Reverend Cynthia Bourgeau, The Wisdom Teachings of Jesus, is one of my favorites. I have probably listened to the Ram Dass meditation, Alchemy of the Heart, at least once a day, every day, sometimes 3 and 4. It's always in my head. That mantra, let go, surrender, let it go, and just love it. And a simple reminder is, am I judging something or am I loving it? We can't love and judge at the same time. I'm going to say that again. We cannot, human beings cannot love and judge at the same time. If I'm judging, I'm not loving. If I'm loving, I'm accepting everything as it is. And that's where the power is. The power is learning to love and accept everything as it is, including the unloved parts of ourselves and others. And that's how we navigate. That's how we get through this. That's how we turn this huge, big, dark cloud hanging over our planet right now into sunshine, into light. Because on the other side of this cloud, everything is the same. The sun is still shining. The universe is still creating. And we're all part of it. That is the Christ Project. Thank you so much for listening today. And if you want to find out more about the work we're doing, you want to join our mastermind, please go to our website at www.diamondmindacademy.org. And you can see all the work we're doing in Africa, all the way we're manifesting love in the world today. And we'd love to have you part of our programs. I would love to get to know you. Anyone who has any questions or any concerns, would like to know more, you're welcome. I'm easy to find. Just send me a direct message in Facebook or LinkedIn, or respond to one of my podcasts with a comment. I'd love to talk to you and help you understand this very important principle. The Christ Project Mastermind, which we do every Saturday, normally at this time, is an invitation. It's free to come and do this work together in the physical way. I'm not alone. I have got every soul in the universe all around me, inside me, around me, everywhere. There's nowhere that they don't exist. That presence is not there. If we allow it to, we allow the fear, the shadow of the fear, to break open and break open our hearts. So thank you so much for listening to our podcast today. May love and peace prevail. Thank you so much for listening to today's episode of the Christ Project podcast. I'm truly grateful for your time and presence. Your feedback means the world to us, so please let us know what you liked, what we can improve, and most importantly, what topics you'd love to hear about in future episodes. Drop your thoughts in the comment section. I'm excited to hear from you. And if you have a story to share about your experience of living in Christ consciousness, I'd love to hear it. You can email me directly with your story, and who knows, you might even join me as a guest on the podcast. Finally, remember that generosity is a key to unlocking the gate to living in Christ consciousness. When we give freely, we align ourselves with love and abundance. We kindly ask for your support in helping us continue the important work of the Diamond Mind Academy, an established 501c3 organization dedicated to empowering marginalized Africans, including LGBTQ individuals, by providing a safe and supportive environment where they can learn, grow, and achieve their full potential. You can make a real difference by contributing through our website, www.diamondmindacademy.org. That's www.diamondmindacademy.org. Every bit helps, and we are deeply grateful for your generosity. Thank you again for tuning in, and I look forward to seeing you next week. Until then, live with love, peace, and prosperity.